Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to our channel, the Eaton Squad. My name is Addie. So for today's video is a departure guide checklist to those travelers going back to the US as a US citizen, dual citizen, former Filipinos or balikbayans, green card holder or permanent resident card holder, and to those flying under tourist visa. So these are the checklist of your documents when you are departing from the Philippines. Details coming right up. So this has been a long overdue request from one of our subscribers. So here we go. This is a request if I could make a checklist to those departing from the Philippines going back to the US. So this is your departure guide checklist. This applies to those who are US citizens, green card holder or permanent resident card holder, those who are flying as a tourist visa entering the US. So I will be showing you guys the checklist that I have prepared for each category. And yes, not just the Philippines have all these requirements when you are flying out or when you are departing from the Philippines going back to the US. The US as well has its own set of travel document requirements when you are entering under a particular category. So let's start with the checklist for US citizens traveling back to the US. So for the checklist for US citizens traveling back to the US, of course, you will need your valid US passport, itinerary or the ticket booking, 24 hours negative COVID test or document of recovery. So the 24 hours negative COVID test, this could be an antigen test, saliva test, RT-PCR test. The US is not that picky when it comes to COVID-19 test. Unlike the Philippines, when you are coming in, it has to be specifically RT-PCR test. But if you are going back to the US, any COVID-19 test will do as long as it is within the 24-hour window prior to departure to the US. Now, on the document of recovery, this is in cases if you have tested positive while you are in the Philippines, you have been isolated, you have quarantined, and you have recovered from COVID-19. They will give you the document of recovery that you have recovered from COVID-19, that you are fit to travel again, that you are not infectious anymore. So instead of showing them the 24 hours negative COVID-19 result, you will show them the document of recovery from COVID-19. Next is the attestation to the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This is the CDC. This will be given to you at the airport. So don't worry if you don't have it on hand because this will be distributed at the counter when you guys are getting your boarding passes. The vaccination card. So as a US citizen, either you are fully vaccinated or not, you can enter the US. But since you've flown into the Philippines as a US citizen and as the Philippines required for foreign nationals entering the Philippines to be fully vaccinated, just prepare your vaccination card just in case they will ask for it during your departure. Then the other document is the Philippine Bureau of Immigration Declaration Form. This will be given to you during your immigration process as well as the departure guide. So those two documents will be given to you during your immigration process. So don't worry if you don't have it on hand because this will be provided for you. So that is pretty much the requirements or the checklist of documents for US citizens. So under the US citizen categories could be the former Filipinos or balikbayans, dual citizens. So for former Filipinos, they will only need your valid US passport. Now for dual citizens, they will ask for your valid US passport and your valid Philippine passport if you have it on hand. But usually, they don't really ask for it. But entering the Philippines, you need it or your dual citizen documents. So when you are departing as a dual citizen, Just bring your Philippine passport, your valid Philippine passport, or your dual citizenship documents, just in case they will ask for it when you are departing from the Philippines. Our next checklist are for green card holders or permanent resident card holders traveling back to the US. So these are your checklist of documents when you are departing from the Philippines. First is your valid Philippine passport. So since you are a green card holder or a permanent resident card holder, this is your Philippine passport that is needed. So make sure that your Philippine passport is valid, has at least 6 months in it, 6 months validity in it before traveling back to the US. Of course, your green card or permanent resident card, that will be checked. Itinerary or ticket booking. Your 24 hours negative test or document of recovery. I have explained this earlier under the US citizen category, and the same thing applies. The US requires a 24-hour negative COVID-19 test. It doesn't have to be specifically RT-PCR test. They will accept antigen test, saliva test, as long as it is COVID-19 test. So 24 hours prior to departure. The document recovery, this is when you have tested positive while you are staying in the Philippines. So you have isolated, you have quarantine, you got treatment and stuff. And now that you are fully recovered, you will be given a recovery document from a doctor here in the Philippines. Then attestation to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC. This will be given to you at the airport. So don't worry if you don't have it, because it will be provided for you. The vaccination card. So like I mentioned earlier, as a permanent resident or a green card holder of the U.S., fully vaccinated and unvaccinated can enter the Philippines. But just in case they will ask for your vaccination card, you have it handy with you. Then the Bureau of Immigration declaration form. This will be provided during your immigration process, as well as the departure card. So just fill those documents up before you proceed to the window for your immigration process. And our last category are the checklist for tourist visa holders going to the US. So here are the documents that you need to prepare. Your valid Philippine passport, your visa to enter the US, your itinerary or ticket booking. You also need to have the 24 hours COVID-19 test, as I explained on the previous categories. It doesn't have to be specifically RT-PCR test. As long as it is for COVID-19 test, the US will accept it. Then travel and health insurance. So for tourist visa holders traveling to the US, this is required, travel and health insurance. So the travel and health insurance should cover COVID-19 just in case you get infected while you are abroad. You will be covered by this. Then the next document is the attestation to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC. So as mentioned earlier, this will be given to you at the airport. This will be provided. So no worries, and you can fill this out when you get to the airport. Vaccination card. This is very important because the U.S. only accepts fully vaccinated foreign tourists, unless you are one of those exempted as unvaccinated foreign tourists entering the United States. But so far, the U.S. has not really dropped this mandate. The U.S. has not really lifted this mandate. So if you are entering as a foreign tourist, you have to be fully vaccinated, and only accepted vaccines by the U.S. CDC shall be accepted. So make sure that the vaccine that you have, the U.S. will accept and recognize. So again, for foreign tourist visa holders entering the United States, you have to be fully vaccinated. Then the Philippine Bureau of Immigration declaration form. As mentioned earlier, this will be provided to you during your immigration or before you go through the immigration process, as well as the departure card. So fill these documents out before you stand in line and start the process at the immigration lane. So aside from those documents, especially if you guys are flying with Philippine Airlines, the additional document that will be added to be filled out aside from the checklist that I have showed you guys is the Philippine Airlines Passenger Information Form or Philippine Airlines Partner Laboratory ECIF form. So if you guys are flying with Philippine Airlines, it's on their website. You can download it ahead of time and you can fill it out ahead of time. And if you are not flying with Philippine Airlines, those checklists that I have given to you guys are the documents that you need to prepare before departing the Philippines on a particular category. There is no quarantine in the US. It really depends per state. So also check with your state if they require quarantine or they don't require quarantine. Most of what I've heard is self-isolation, and that's really your prerogative if you want to self-isolate after you just came back from traveling abroad. So that's really your discretion, but it is not required unlike the Philippines. But like I said, always check with your final destination, your state of your final destination, if they require anything and stuff. That way you are well prepared just in case their protocols has changed. So this is pretty much the departure guide checklist to those travelers going back to the US after an enjoyable and memorable vacation here in the Philippines as a US citizen, balikbayan, dual citizen, green card holder or permanent resident card holder, and traveling as a tourist to the US. So I hope that you guys can use this video as reference if you are one of those traveling back to the US anytime soon. And to those travelers who are already back to the US, if I missed something on the checklist that I have given today on this video, please comment it down below so we can use it as reference to all our kababayans and fellow foreign nationals who are due to go back to the US anytime soon. And I really appreciate it. And I also want to add, with regards to the 24 hours COVID-19 test, you guys can get it on Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. They have antigen test over there for 700 pesos. And the turnaround time is 30 minutes. To those who are worried, where should I get my antigen test or RT-PCR test or my COVID-19 test as a requirement to the US, because the US requirement is 24 hours. So that is where you can get your COVID-19 test. It's at Terminal 2 and Terminal 3 of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. So they do accept walk-ins, they also do appointments, they also do drive-through antigen, RT-PCR test, or COVID-19 testing. So that is where you are going to get your COVID-19 test when you are due to go back to the US. As quick as you can, 30 minutes, results are in. So this is our quick travel update for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, concerns, or inquiries with regards to this video or in any of our travel related videos, please comment it down below and I will try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. Or you can direct message me on our Facebook page, same handle, the Eaton Squad. Again, guys, thank you guys so much for the continued support and trust to our channel, the Eaton Squad. I hope to see you on our next travel update. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless everyone. Bye.